while we're waiting on Michael to get dialed in, I am going to just say again that this week the Course in Miracles lesson for the entire week is the same one, and it is, "This holy instant would I give to you. Be you in charge, for I would follow you, certain that your direction gives me peace." And I looked up a different page than the one that I was reading from yesterday that says, "What is the holy instant?" And it says it refers to one's choice to accept the energy of love over fear and unity over separation. It is a choice that can be made in a single moment, in that single instant, but then it also may require a lifetime of practice and repetition. So we are constantly learning, constantly choosing, and there's actually a site, and my mind's not going to his name right at the moment, but it's Choose Again. And he's always, talking about, you make a choice, but then choose again. So, and let me just check. Michael may not be able to call in because I'm actually in as host. So let me do a switch here real quick if he's having a challenge getting in. Give me just one moment.
I'm in. I'm on.
Okay. You weren't showing up on the switchboard, so I thought maybe I might have to hang up.
No. Sometimes it lets two hosts in, and sometimes it doesn't. Thank you, dear heart. We're having another delightful day with Ari Rain. Thankful for feeling good and waking up in the morning after that bout of COVID, realizing that, in fact, by consciously interacting with COVID, it's actually been a gift for both of us that has truly upgraded our health. So, interesting learning experience. And we're winding down to the end of the year. We're on the bottom of page 178 of the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again?
Shift your microphone just a little bit.
Okay, sweetheart, is that better? That good?
Well, yes.
Okay. We'll chat a little bit. So I'm going to just jump right in. I think we've got a call coming in from Carrie, so I'm going to just read a little bit of the book, and then we'll jump on with Carrie and say hello. We haven't heard from Carrie in a long time on the show. She was a participant back several years ago. Oh, geez, she was on many days in a row, and we had lots of great conversations. She's doing some awesome work down in Mexico. And so let's just head to the top of page 178. We're on to step 11 on the worksheet with our character Richard, and reading a couple of paragraphs. So step 11, here's where one steps into gratitude and looking to, recognizing that whoever the object of attention is of the worksheet, the true nature, the true character of the being that we're interacting with is love. And the true nature and the true character of ourselves, no matter what the rage and fear and guilt and hallucinations, whatever is going on in the mind, no matter what it is, the truth behind it all is that we are each beings of love. And so the objective here now, having collapsed through forgiveness, the hostility and fear-based hallucinations of the mind, getting the opportunity to return to that space of love and to will joining in that love with the person who perhaps moments ago we thought was the source of our pain and trauma. Of course, it's a huge hallucination to think that shy of somebody coming up and punching you in the nose, cancel the thought, somebody can cause you pain. Oh, yes, if there's pain in you, anybody can resonate it, anybody can move it for you. And if you live in denial, you'll believe that the pain is really caused by them. Oh, you really upset me when you did that. Excuse me. You've been upset. You're the one who's been upset every time you've been upset. I'm the one who's been upset every time I have been an upset. Maybe we need to start to suspect that if I'm an upset, it's mine, and it could be my opportunity to forgive, to remove that upset, the whole objective of the work, to get past all of the hallucinations of the mind. So we're inviting Richard. He's doing a worksheet on his sister, Amy. I'm grateful and join with the love in you, Amy. I acknowledge us for creating, and so we're in the process here of framing and setting new goals, going for something different than what the mind of hostility or fear would go for. And the mind of hostility or fear will always find a reason, always find a way to rationalize its hostility, its rage, its guilt, its grief, its pain, its trauma, its condemnation, cutting other people off of communication, because that's the world it lives in. That's its game. So here, the invitation is to set a goal from being, from recognizing yourself as love, and creating 1, truth, 2, perfect love. Interesting, you go back to the ancient Aramaic, and the phrase is used, perfect love casts out fear. What does that mean? Well, you remember that we've talked over and over again that Yeshua never said love your neighbor, never said love God as yourself. That was a total Greek. If Yeshua sat in a church where they talked that talk, he'd say that's all Greek to me. But he said to have Rachma for the Creator and for your neighbor, and by so doing, you would maintain self. You would maintain love, the state of being that you are. And so to bring that to the forefront becomes key. There's a filter, and we've talked about this many times, over the frontal lobes of the brain. It's called Rachma. It may well be what anatomically is called the angular, my brain's gone now, angular gyrus, as they're discovering. It seems to have many of the features and many of the functions anatomically that this filter called Rachma has, and that there's a second filter. That one's over the frontal lobes, over intentions, and then there's a filter called Kuba in Aramaic. There's no such word or no such concept in our language for either of those words, but the closest we could come would be to say that it's a filter over perception. That allows only perception's key to love to be used. Units of perceptual memory to be used by the mind in formulating your perceptual construct. So those two filters together set in the mind were what we referred to in Aramaic as perfect love. Again, no such concept in English. So when Rachma and Kuba are set, the mind is on track for that thing that was called in Aramaic perfect love, or the Greeks translated as that. And then to set a new goal, to frame, set a goal that you're willing to take action and create fulfillment of in your life. And so he's acknowledged that he's been distant with his sister Amy, that he had jealousy, that she had the easy life that he wished he'd had, and that he's always dissed her to some degree. And so his new goal in regard to his sister is to create a close, warm relationship and to choose to be available and responsible for his own feelings. And of course, there's a reminder there to breathe, because when we start treading new ground in the mind, when we start digging up the old drama and trauma-based mind, the tendency, the way to hold on to it is by cutting off and holding the breath. And so here, the opening of the breath, and really ties into the still point breathing process. It's such a huge key in doing this. By the way, we do have, if you go to our website, whyagain.org, there's a link to a flyer for our monthly Mind Shifters and Still Point Breathing Club. So you can take a look at that if you're interested in joining us. It actually happens the second. We're doing it online via Zoom. We found it's working very well. We weren't sure that was going to work the same way as it did in person, but then when we did a couple of online intensives and the still point just went so powerfully, we went ahead and we did one, just independent mind shifters and still point breathing workshop, and that turned into a 1-year commitment. So we're rocking with that. If you're interested in joining us, it happens the second Saturday of each month at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, and then on the Tuesday following that Saturday session at 7 in the evening Eastern time, we're doing a second piece of that session. So each month we have those 2 sessions if you're interested in joining us. So Richard ties into those new goals. He's going to join with the love and his sister, looking for that, connecting with that. You remember we talked about and it's such a great metaphor. There was an historian that I happened to run across who was doing a presentation, and he had coined a phrase called the Mr. Magoo syndrome. And if you remember the cartoon series of Mr. Magoo is this character who's so nearsighted that he has no idea where he is, and he's always fantasizing somewhere other than where he is. And the hilarity of the situations he gets himself in, he thinks he's one thing and, doing something, and he's doing something totally different. And he thinks he's in a certain place, and he's someplace completely different. So he's going through life with no idea of who he is or where he is, kind of like most human beings, not realizing that they are love, and that they're going through opportunities to learn forgiveness. People think they're rage and fear and guilt and grief and pain and drama and trauma and disease and suffering. And they're going through being punished and hurt and picked on. And, it's really the Mr. Magoo syndrome. So this is the place to withdraw from the Mr. Magoo syndrome and realize that you are walking through life as the active presence of love. If you don't experience yourself as that way, then there's a part of you that needs to be forgiven. And forgiven here doesn't mean to let off the hook for that error. Forgiven means remove those parts of self. You remember Yeshua 2,000 years ago says, in order for you to live, you've got to die. The self you're not, the Mr. Magoo self, has got to go. That's what he was saying, in essence, 2,000 years ago. And I don't remember the historian's name at this moment, but I thank him for that metaphor of Mr. Magoo, the Mr. Magoo syndrome. So this is a place to let go of yourself and all the beliefs you've got in weakness and frailty and victimhood and all the non-human stuff that goes on in the mind, and claim the truth about yourself. So Richard kicks in and says, relief and hope are what I feel now. It seems I've learned so much about myself, more than I've learned in my whole lifetime. What can I do for you, Michael? Richard, there's a principle in physics called critical mass. It is the threshold point where seemingly small action transforms a large mass. Without charge to the sponsor, we accept every invitation possible to speak to groups. We present our travel workshops free and invite people to copy and give away our materials so that our work is available without regard for the ability to pay. We do these things as our contribution to creating a critical mass with these tools. And of course, we ask people, so that we maintain the integrity of the work, to acknowledge where the ideas come from so that we can keep extending this process. We've had some people who will pick it up and take it off and pretend it's their own. And there are 2 things that are deleterious about that. One, people oftentimes, like for instance, over the years, I've had many people they've created their own worksheet, and sometimes they'll send me a copy of it, and 9 out of 10 times, the key core step of forgiveness is left out of the worksheet. There's one gentleman who wrote a book. The first version of the book that he wrote, he came to one of my workshops, he took the worksheet, and he wrote a book on it. Created his own worksheet based on mine, except that he left forgiveness out. And he called it forgiveness, but there's no forgiveness in his worksheet or in what he's doing. So that's one deleterious effect. and two, that we've got a momentum toward this critical mass, and we're asking those who pick up this work and see its value and its benefit to be part of extending that critical mass by staying connected with us in that regard. So what can you do for me, Richard? Doing your work and sharing with others will add energy to our family's commitment to deliver these tools to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. It's the greatest gift you could give us. We also invite you to support the work financially or any other way you can if that's a possibility and a desire. There is always work to be done at Heartland, and the donation of materials or labor are always welcome. Of course, doing and passing on the work is most important. And what our commitment is about is taking this to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. If you don't have the forgiveness app yet, Jeanie just did a whole other upgrade. I mean, I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of hours Jeanie has put into this app, and it was usually at 5 in the morning when she'd be on the phone with the techs in India to bring the app forward. But download the app from your app store. Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness. Just type that into your app store, and you'll be downloading the world's only forgiveness app. And Jeanie's just added so much functionality to it. Get on it, explore it. You can ask questions directly from the app. There's just so much in it. It's awesome the way it's coming together. And support us in making it available, putting it out there, extending it on a wider and wider scale on a planetary level. So that's how you can support us. Do your work, number one. 2, pass it on, number 2. 3, hey, if there's some way you can support us, you're a millionaire, hey, tithe, go ahead. You're only worth $10, great, tithe a penny, whatever it takes. It isn't about the money. Of course, when we travel and we pay our own expenses, we're not traveling right now, and we pay our own expenses, we do those workshops free, although we haven't figured out how to do them for nothing yet, so we do invite people to donate. And so if this is benefiting you and working for you, maybe you're at the end of the year and you need to unload some money for your taxes, great. Go to our website, whyagain.org. There's a donate button, click, and go for it. Beyond that, pass it along. And so, Miss Jeanie, is Carrie with us? She was going to be calling in from Mexico, I think.
There is a long number that she doesn't have her hand up, but I'm going to click it and see. Is this Carrie? Are you on?
Hi, me. Yes, it is.
Hey.
Well, hey, young lady.
Hey.
Delighted to hear your voice.
Yeah. Hey, with Jeanie, I couldn't remember how to put my hand up.
That's okay. You pressed 1, but I wasn't sure with it being a out-of-country number whether that would work for you. So.
Right. Cool. And Jeanie, oh my gosh, your work is so incredible. I've been just really admiring it. I've been digging around in the website, and we downloaded the app, and I just, wow, you've really done beautiful, beautiful work. It's amazing the way everything is presented.
Isn't that app fabulous?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. I haven't dug into it very far yet, so I'll report back more after we do. But yeah, it's so beautiful.
Sweet.
And yeah. So, and it's great to hear both your voices, and I send you so much love and appreciation. I'm gonna cry.
Received.
Yeah.
Received. Sounds like there's some emotion going for you right now. What's happening?
I just am digging through the Aramaic, and it's just incredible. It's such a message for these times, and it's so important, and I just honor all the work you've done. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Over many
years. Right. When I communicated with you yesterday about the Aramaic alphabet, it was actually about, I think maybe 8 years ago now, we did a 7-country tour. We went to 7 different countries. We started out in Sweden, then ended up in Denmark. It was kind of cool. In Denmark, we ended up invited to the birthday celebration held by the Danish Physics Association, or pardon me, no, it was the Nobel Prize Association that held a celebration in honor of the 100th year Eternal Day of
Niels Bohr.
Niels Bohr. I actually got to sleep. We actually got to sleep in his study. We stayed with his granddaughter, and we got to sleep in his study with all of his materials. It was really cool. But anyway, but about the fourth country we're in, there was just like this brain thing that happened for me. It's like, I listen to the Swedes, and these, frequencies come out of their mouths, and other people understand what they're saying, and I don't understand a thing, and then I listen to the Danes, and this Danish sounds come out of their mouths, and other people understand. And then we were in Portugal, and these voices in Portuguese, and there was a point where it was like, oh my God, this is all babble. The Swedes, they made up some grunts and groans and called them words, and we who speak English made up grunts, and we're doing babble right now. This is based in nothing except somebody had a fantasy that the word is going to represent a thing we call a word, and and we made this all up, and it just experientially really struck me as this is babble. There's only one language that is based in the physics of the world, and if you look at the letters of the Aramaic alphabet, they're actually images of 3D shadows of the movement of the atomic elements.
Oh my God, that
the world
is
of
amazing.
physics. And it was just like it was sort of like I had this aha moment of, oh my God, we're trying to make up words that represent some semblance of what's actually going on, but there is a language that's based in the physics of the world. And, it's I don't think it's the 3D shadow of the actual elements. Yes. So carbon, all of these different molecules or atomic structures as they move, if you were taking a 3D picture, that would be the Aramaic alphabet.
And what I shared with you was I just sat looking at some of the files that are on your website, of the actual pages of the Aramaic. And I was literally feeling this energy going through my body, particularly to my heart. I was feeling just currents going through me as I looked at it. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm actually feeling a vibration from this language. And then you wrote me back that. I think that's just incredible.
And then when you realize that at least 5 of the world's major religions came out of the Aramaic,
right.
There's a reason. It's not that it's a religious language. It's the fact of how the world works. Men turned it into religions in each case, and now the game becomes control and dogmas and doctrines and all that. But they were each. Here's the truth of how the energy system called life works, and what in the Aramaic what the Greeks ended up calling law. The Greeks took the idea over and they made it into, law is the rule of a superior. There's this superior that's really going to get pissed with you if you don't do what he told you to do. And in Aramaic, the word law is actually, and we don't have a concept in our culture really for the word law, aside from the rule of a superior, but law is simply, here's how it works. When they say to Yeshua, what's most important in the law? They're talking about in living a human life. He says, I come to bring you life and bring it more abundantly. And he says, what's most important is you got to have Rachma active in your mind. If you've got this gateway open, then love is active in your physiology. That's how it works. That's the law. It's not you've got to, be this or that or the next thing. It's such a whole different game, such a whole different thing than the Babel languages have made it up to be.
Yes. I've also found I've been learning Spanish, and my husband just said, I've been experiencing that with Spanish, that it's another one of those. It's like Babel. It is in many ways. It's like a slave language. It incorporates the beliefs, of blame and superiority and all those kind of things. And I was going to say, too, I kind of was feeling, what are the tears about? And really it's just that I feel this teaching is so powerful, and it's the tears of the contrast of the world, and what every day we live and walk and talk. And we really have a practice in our home of choosing to live these principles, and we talk about them every day. And just that desire to, to immerse it into the world. It's just, and it's sometimes feeling like it's overwhelming, I think.
I hear you.
It's the gratitude it's the gratitude too. Like my husband tells me, I threw him a rope. He was in the ditch, and he thanks me for that. And is that what you say, babe?
Well, it's a lifeline. Hi, everybody.
Hey, delight to connect.
A lifeline, like the Wonder Woman line of light, the line of truth, the line of power. And I had the choice of taking hold of that or not, and I'm still holding on. Let me tell you.
And I feel like you've done that, Michael. Like you've thrown out a lifeline with, like, you and I have known each other since 1980 probably, so 40 years, 40-some years.
79 or 80 was, the first time we connected.
Right. And then I know your history before that, and just that you came in touch with this work and you made the choice to make it your life's work. And it's just the gratitude for that. Again, I'm crying.
I hear you. Well, I was saying to you a little bit, and I don't want to get into the topic too much, but the gifts that we've both been experiencing from having had COVID just very recently, and we're still being quiet. We're not running any marathons or anything, but we're past the quarantine date, and our granddaughter's back with us and that sort of thing. But we've both of us found that with the tweaking of our immunity, realizing that it's moved some underlying energetic patterns and thought processes. And, one of the things we do as our entertainment is we watch movies, and we've watched, actually both of us, there have been several things that we've watched since the whole COVID thing started, and we'll be, we've got a large screen TV in our bedroom, and we'll be watching this, and I'll be reaching for a Kleenex and dabbing my eyes, and Jeanie will be reaching for a Kleenex and dabbing her eyes, and we'll both be sitting here in the same kind of tears that you're talking about when, this film expresses, especially the ones that are true life things, expresses the actual operation of human life, the actual presence of love in people functioning out of the integrity that love is, that our true being is. And it's moved a lot of that same kind of emotion, energy that I heard in your voice that just a few minutes ago. So I'm fully with you. I understand it.
Yeah. I don't want to get off on movies, but there's a great movie, Te Ata, about a Native American woman who did storytelling for 100 years. She lived 100 years. She just died recently. But she, in the face of really abuse of her culture, she told stories, and she was invited to the White House, and it's an amazing film if you get a chance to watch it.
Spell it for me if you would.
Sure.
Really? Spell the name of it?
Te Ata.
T-E.
So the letter K, A-T-A? Cool. We'll watch it. We'll find it.
A-T-A.
Yeah, it's really amazing. It's an amazing expression of that living in love. It's really, really, really good that way.
Sweet.
And we cried all the way.
Cool.
But I want to come back to the Aramaic because I just am delving into this. I'm going to teach a workshop at a retreat in January, and it's on this. I wrote books called 21st Century Superhuman, and it's kind of about the theme of those books that were in the Great Shift of the Ages. But as I began digging in, the direction I've been going is to, I'm actually making a slideshow with little, and of course I always acknowledge you. I always talk about your website. We'll talk about the app, and it'll be a nice little group to get it out to on a bigger scale, and it'll be a really interested audience. And so I'm making some slides with the different precepts on it. And
great.
And so I've been digging into everything you've got written about the Aramaic, and I want to ask you a few questions. One is,
go for it.
I know the whole Kibburis manuscript is like 500 pages, right?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, and so have all those. So I want to know, when I look at that writing and you say it's the shadows of the elements in physics, the letters are, and you talk in some of your explanation about how they had to add vowels because vowels were not in the Aramaic shorthand. So in the Kibburis, I'm guessing those vowels are not added yet, right?
Correct.
Is that correct? Or okay.
Yes.
And then the group, is the group still working on translation? I mean, has that whole 500 pages been translated or no? Am I going to have to figure out how to translate it myself? I'm just what I'm trying to figure out.
Unfortunately, it has not yet been translated. And basically what happened was that there were 25 of the world's top Aramists back in the 70s that worked on the Kibburis manuscript. A partner of mine had sent an expedition to the Middle East. It's called the Kibburis because it was found at a monastery on the Khyber River in Turkey. And so 25 different translators worked on this translation work, and it wasn't, even if all 25 translators, agreed on the meaning of a word or a phrase or a concept, it wasn't considered valid until it actually was taken into the laboratory of the classroom and it worked. It produced the result that it purported to produce. Unfortunately, that project ran out of money back in the 70s, so there's been no translation work done since that occurred. My partner in the project passed away, and the project was passed on, and I became director of the project. And there's been so much work to do to just take what we know so far and put it out there, make it available, get it to the point where it becomes a strong enough frequency in the culture that it's easily available, that it expands on itself. And that's basically what I've been working on. And so there's no actual translation work that's been done. The translation work that has been completed so far is in that book I told you about called Enlightenment. And if you want to send me your address, I'll send you a copy. In the back, it's actually a 3-part book. The front of the book is some of the story of the manuscript. The center of the book is some select passages from the New Testament, and the key words are left in Aramaic in those passages. And then in the back of the dictionary, or the back of the book, there's a first century dictionary. These 25 translators worked as diligently as possible to establish actual first century meanings of the words. Sadly, there are other translations from the Aramaic out there, but most of them were done by people who were influenced by the Greek, in many cases, the Greek translations were translated back into Aramaic, and the people who were working on it were influenced by this church or this dogma or that dogma, and so they've been tainted. In the only way, that the Kibburis Foundation that we established, yes, we will say this is the meaning of this word, was when it produced the result. And so that first century dictionary has what we found so far, and it hasn't come up to the level where there's been the kind of funding that it takes to take the translation work to the next level. And I really have no way at this point to quantify how much of it has been translated. We've got what we've got at this point, and it's been all that I could do to take it and to keep moving it forward, developing products, such as the app, the website, to make it available to people, to keep giving it away and expanding it.
Well, it's amazing that you managed to pull the themes from it that you did. And was that partly from the work of Dan, or?
Yes. A great deal of it.
Go ahead.
A great deal of it came from Dan. Dan, when we met, had created a thing called emotional maturity instruction out of that work and took it into the prison system. When Dan and I met, we found we'd been traveling similar pathways. I had developed a body of work called Lessons in Living. This goes back 40 years ago. We put that together and we created Laws of Living. We took those two bodies of work, melded them together, put in the nutrition and all of that, and that's called Laws of Living now. And that's something that, I usually teach once a year. With COVID happening, I haven't done that. Actually, the last time I taught Laws of Living was about 3 weeks before COVID really exploded on the scene. We're looking at perhaps doing another online Laws of Living, but I've been working on that since Dan passed, which goes back now, Jim, not even sure, probably 11 or 12 years, and each year been working on advancing it and getting a deeper understanding of it through the Laws of Living course.
Well, it seems like you have really some essential principles from the Aramaic, and how is it that you managed to distill those out?
Well, that's been, once the translator said, here's what this word means, then we would take that into the classroom through Laws of Living, through Why Is This Happening to Me Again? That's where the original, worksheet for Why Is This Happening to Me Again started. And through those two bodies of work, we would work with people and clarify, upgrade the principle, upgrade the understanding. And that was the work. Like Dan would come to Heartland every year, and we would actually, back in the days when, we didn't have cell phones that we could get on and talk forever and cost next to nothing, basically Dan and I would spend 2 to 3 hours a day on the phone in discussion with these things. My phone bill would run $1,000, $1,400, $1,500 a month to keep up the phone calls that we would do, and we would get together. He'd come to Heartland and we'd teach Laws of Living there, and I would go to Albany, Georgia, where he was. There was a thing called the Judicial Service Agency, and they taught prisoners in the prison. It was actually promoted by a Superior Court judge named Asa D. Kelly. And so that's how we worked with and developed the body of work. And, since Dan passed away, we've just carried on with it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing, and it's clean and clear principles. Yeah, it's incredible. Really good.
Well, the vibrations are transformative all by themselves.
Exactly.
Is my take on it. And the gratitude that we feel over and over is right up there in love. I mean, there's no delineating point between gratitude and love. It's like the colors blending into a rainbow with itself. It's all the same thing, really. And so choosing that frequency, enjoying that frequency, crying during Teata was just delicious because it was the gratitude was so overflowing, the love and the abundance of it just takes over the body. And
I'm with you.
Getting that repetitive feeling in the body and getting used to it and making that the new status point, the new place to be from. It's a journey. It's a walk of mastery. And that's what this work shows me anyway. It shows this walk of mastery and how far we have to go and how really corrupt what we've been given is.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Pure words meaning.
And it's interesting. It's
the rewiring of the brain structure, and it's beautiful. It's delicious to be in, and it's such an awesome world to be part of it. To me, that's the new Earth. That's the direction we're headed in, and that's where I'm going.
Well, and I think that taking it into yours, which means literally the rewiring of the genes, it's literally the whole genetic history that needs to be rewired from its insanity, and that's part and parcel of the process. It's interesting that it is suspected, although we don't know for sure, that the root of the Buddha's teachings was also Aramaic, and he comes up with still a third, facet of the diamond, and the facet he focused on, as opposed to, love, was compassion, and it's another aspect of being.
Right.
And so he brings the Buddha brought another whole piece of the puzzle in, where the Greeks took it and went, oh, we need to own this, we need to get rid of everybody else, only ours works. And so here they sit with what 32,000 sects of so-called Christianity right now.
Right. The HeartMath Institute has demonstrated that when we go into compassion and gratitude, love, compassion, and gratitude, that we go into a state of heart coherence, and it changes us and it changes the world around us. And ultimately, it's so simple, but it's really pure science.
Yeah. That's being. That's, one of the questions, and you maybe haven't heard me ask this in several years, but one of the first questions we ask when we do Why Is This Happening to Me, and either Jeanie or I will ask this question, is how many have ever held a newborn child? Go back to the moment where you held that newborn. Tap into the essence of the newborn, and notice that the newborn isn't loving you, the newborn is love. And the objective is to get back to that. And we all come in exactly the same.
When we're off track, it's ultimate, as it says in the Aramaic, it's ultimate disintegration of our being.
Yes. And the next piece of work to be done, to confront all of that, and to recognize that held within our genetic structure is the memory of all of what the generations have done, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That story about the Jews wandering in the desert isn't about a 35-square-mile hot, sandy place. It's about functioning out of the unconsciousness held in the genes.
Yeah.
To get out of the desert is to get out of the unconscious condition. I don't believe that it is natural for a human being to have an unconscious mind. It's a total artificial creation that comes from us playing the game of blame. You made me mad, you made me sad, you made me afraid. Now I have to cut myself off. I have to dissociate from the part of my mind that creates those energetic patterns. And I have no idea that it belongs to me. Now I have a perceptual mind that constructs a world where now that I've blamed you become, I literally see a picture, my mind generates a construct of you doing it to me. And I'm cut off from my own internal dynamics. And the forgiveness process is how we're restored and undo those unconscious dynamics so that we come back into whole function.
Yes, and that shift of forgiveness coming from the other to myself and cleaning out my own old data is a big shift in thinking, because we're so programmed to think of the other that the new shift is to go within self and to find all that old data and all that extraneous stuff within ourselves, and that ends up being true forgiveness. Beautiful.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Exactly. And the only thing that creates diseases are dissociated unconscious energies that are stored wherever they're stored in the body. If a disease energy is stored in the big toe, the knee, the liver, the brain, the heart, then there's going to be the big toe, the liver, the brain, the heart disease. There's only one disease. That's a disintegrative energy that doesn't belong in tissue. And the mind is the body, and the body is the mind. So it's not about healing diseases. It's about paying attention to the energetic dynamics that we're carrying within us, that if they create some sort of pain, turmoil, degeneration, it's feedback to say, okay, here's your unconscious. Now get to work and clean that piece up.
Right.
That's right.
It's all a mirror. It's all a mirror to tell us we've got work to do.
Exactly.
And where we need to place our love.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
well,
where the love,
Michael,
where the actual presence of love needs to be restored.
Yes.
There you go.
So I'm with you guys 100%. And by the way, the conference, I assume you're talking about the Coptic conference, which we've announced because we're going to be speaking. I think we're speaking. Oh, you're doing a different conference?
Yeah. No, I'm doing another one. I'm in the Coptic conference too, but I'm also, Sasha Stone has a workshop going on in Isla Mujeres, so I'm going to be a presenter there. But yes, the Coptic conference is really awesome, and you and I are both going to be presenters there.
Yes, and cool if you want to let us know so that anybody that's listening can tune into the other conference you're doing. I'm sure people would love to see what it is you're putting together. It'll certainly have different insights, a different slant, and different learning than what I'm doing. So.
Yes, it isn't. I don't think the workshop itself is public; it's private. But I think everything will be recorded, and those will be put out after the workshop. And I'll probably end up I'll make some kind of recording of my presentation. So I'm excited about it. I'm really digging into, how to communicate these precepts to people that aren't familiar with them. And my presentation is different than yours. I'm a little more quantum. I'm a little more into the quantum physics aspect of it. And I'm not a carbon copy of you by any stretch of the imagination. But I love the material. Michael, you came in to do this work, I'm sure, and you really have a gift. You have a gift in this detailed. Were you trained in electronics? Do I remember that right? Electronics.
That was my original work with electronics, yeah, with a side study in physics and then naturopathy.
Yeah, in your natural medicine, and so. You have this mind for this really intricate detail. I mean, I could never have done what you've done, but you've been able to filter this stuff over and over and over and apply it and, really point these things out. It's just it's an amazing body of work. And I'm really grateful for it because I can learn from it and I can go out and pass it on from my understanding, but I'm going to pass it on from my heart and my soul. I believe it's the most important teaching on the planet, and I believe it's the only thing that's going to take us to a viable future, right? So
what's needed, Yeah, and I have the blessing of one of my doctorates is in holistic philosophy. So how does it all work together? When I was doing the electronics work that I did, if you were designing or building or repairing a piece of electronic equipment, it really didn't matter what your philosophy was. It had to work when it came off the other end of the bench. And so whatever I've taken, it's always been, how do I get this down to something that we can hand to someone else and it will work for them? And they don't need special skills. All they have to do is take it and put it to work. So, yeah, I'm with you. And if there's anything, if you want to send me anything that you're putting together for that conference, I'll give you any feedback that I have or what have you, and it'll be a delight to see what unfolds. Joining you as, we did 40 years ago, and then, I don't know, it's been, probably 7 or 8 years since we've heard your voice on the show, and it's a delight to have you back and hearing from what you're doing, how you're putting it together in your unique way, because each one of us, offers a way of taking something in and then putting it back out there that can be of benefit to everybody on the team.
Right.
I think they called it holy.
I always send people back to your website and the information you put out because you have such a body of knowledge that you put out, and it's incredible. And that you guys here I am calling into the same radio show that I called into 7 or 8 years ago. I mean, it's incredible that you guys have consistently just kept putting one foot in front of the other and done this.
I honor your dedication, brother. And
thank you.
Michelle turned us on to the little movie Inside Out, which I can watch.
We were just watching with our granddaughter this morning.
And just deep dive. What was that?
We were just watching Inside Out with my granddaughter this morning. When that movie first came out, I put out to our audience that it is perhaps the most important piece of work that has ever presented itself on the planet, because it takes the really true principles and puts it on a level where a 3-year-old can understand it, and anybody from 3 to 100 can understand it and use it, and it's been put out globally in I don't even know how many different languages. Makes it a really important piece of work. I think that movie is profoundly important.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It has had and still has an impact on my life, and I'm really appreciative of Michelle turning me on to it. She told us that you did your show on that. I don't know how many shows about that after that, and I can see why. It's so in depth. It's so right on. So many levels. So many levels.
Yeah, we've shown it at intensives at Heartland. I mean, it's a powerful piece of work that they put together, and it looks like a kid's cartoon.
Yeah. Michelle's come and stayed with us a couple times down here in the Yucatan and been delightful. We've really enjoyed her presence and her growth and her progress. It's been fun to kind of share the path with her.
She's a good sister.
Yeah, sweet.
Speaking of electronics, I just wanted to talk out about body electronics. When you and I both studied with Dr. John Ray, and we learned body electronics,
right.
And I literally had a broken arm. Doctors wanted to do surgery and put 2 bins in around 1982 or so, and I had listened to John Ray's tapes. And so I had my friends, we were really nutritionally sound, and we were drinking minerals, and I had my friends hold points on me. But the truth is, I had to go through the emotional tone scale. I had to clear everything up to love. And literally, I just faithfully did that for a few hours while people were holding points on me. Everything that would come up, I would be with it, be in its presence, and breathe, clear it up to love. And within 3 hours, a searing, burning heat went through my arm, and I no longer had a broken arm. And the broken arm literally healed. And so we know the magic of this, just really being able to be present and conscious.
There was actually a group out in California that were working with the scale that, and I'm not remembering his name, the fellow who wrote the book on the emotional tone scale.
I think some of it comes from Scientology, but I don't know what else.
No, not related there. No, there was actually a psychiatrist, medical doctor who did some work in that regard, and he had a scale that went up to 1,000, and there was a group in California working with it, and I took the manuscript to them, and they measured it, and it measured at 985 on their scale of 1,000.
Wow. Nice. Very good. Cool. Well, do we need to give you some time to do closing on your show?
We usually go down to the last few seconds. If there are any other thoughts, any other questions, we'll take it right down to the line.
Oh man, I'm just really I feel this pull of those Aramaic words on the page, and I am so glad that there are really good images of all the pages. That's fabulous. I went and looked at the website of the guy who managed to make them, and they're all up at your website, and a person can look at them. And I just wanted to dive into those. I just want to be at one with that vibration coming off the page. I feel like it's really filled with life and a message that's really important.
Well, I breathe with you into it.
Okay.
Because that's one of the key integration points is the breath.
Uh-huh.
I feel that. It is. It's a deep dive, and it's worth the deep dive. Double-click on that, whyagain.org, and dive in there, because my life is transformed, and I honor everything that you're doing and appreciate that. And with that, I'm out. Thank you and bless you.
Cool.
That's my husband.
one other thought to throw in there is that one of the phrases in Aramaic, Ruka de Kudshit, that the Greeks translate as the Holy Spirit. When you go back to the Old Testament where they talk about, God sent out His Spirit, in Aramaic, it's not what it says. It was send out the breath. And when we dissociate from the breath, when we cut off from the breath, then we lock into tissue that energy that doesn't belong. And until the breath is restored to that tissue, that energy is not going to be freed, and it will show up as a dis-ease condition. And so restoring the breath throughout the whole structure, and that's where the still point process came from, where when there is a flow of breath that comes to the point where the breath itself spontaneously stops, it's like it opens a space for the super processor to enter and for whatever needs to be moved physiologically to be moved. And that's the point, where that burning, searing pain often happens as the body processes out. In the East, they called it kundalini. I don't believe it's something that resides in the base of the spine. It's simply when we come into proper alignment and a full complement of energy comes through the system, wherever the blocks are, there's going to be that burning, searing pain or kundalini energy, because that's what needs to be restructured, and that's where the tissue is literally restructured.
Yes, and that still point, reaching that still point is amazing. I encourage people to join your monthly breathing sessions who have an interest. It's really powerful. And what I say in my work is breathe, smile, and love, because we're activating Rachma and Kuba. And I tell people, if you walk away with one thing, just remember to breathe, smile, and love in every situation.
Yeah.
And
right on.
It really, people can grasp it. And I have people write me and say, it's kind of almost become like a mantra out there, a meme kind of. And I look forward to continuing to get that out there, because I think that just doing that one thing, people can change themselves enough to change the world if they remember that in a situation.
Do you have an actual physical meme of it, a picture that puts that together?
I don't, but I need to make some. It's kind of probably the next thing on my list. I've gone through.
We encourage you, yeah. Cool. We encourage you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's an awesome way to say
I'll do that. Yes. And it really, I just watch people shift I always use it at the closing of my shows, and it's just, I feel like it kind of sums up this whole thing into one little thing that if people do it, it'll change them. But digging deeper, of course, really worth it.
I would add two little layers to the top of that meme. I mean, it's right on track, but I would add to it, if somebody's in a state of upset, locate the goal, cancel the goal, breathe, smile, restore love.
Beautiful.
And we're back to being, we're back to the truth of who we are. But as long as we're holding a goal that causes the mind to use dissociated content to produce this construct called perception, then we're going to be stuck in the loop of that perception. So the canceling of the goal, so often people say, well, Michael, this is a perfectly good goal. I just want this person to care for me. Why would I cancel that goal? It's a good goal. It's like, I agree with you. It's a perfectly good goal. The problem isn't the goal. The problem is that when you load it into your mind has hostility and fear around being taken care of or being cherished. And so that hostility or fear is what comes into action. And the way that you clean it out is by identifying the specific, precise goal, canceling the goal, and that's what allows you to drop into directly the dissociated content, wherever it is in tissue, and remove it from the tissue.
Yes. Excellent. In my slides.
Cool.
Pulling the goal.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, listen, lots of love to you guys, and be well, stay well, thrive, live in joy, live in bliss, breathe and smile. And, I think no matter how long the journey is, I still, I was going to sleep last night asking, how do I let go, of everything, anything that's not of love? And it's just continuing to do the work.
And Yeshua gave the key to it. When you find that you're in that space where there's something less than love moving, identify the goal. It may be a goal that's been in your tissue for generations. It may be a goal that just came up in your mind unconsciously 2 minutes ago. But when you identify that goal and specifically and precisely cancel it, that's how to collapse right into the core energy that needs to move. And when you breathe into that core energy and bring the presence of love, boom, that's where the transformation, that's where the forgiveness takes place.
That's great.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate both of you. Nice to connect. And if there's any more that comes up or more conversation to be had, let's continue the conversation tomorrow.
Will do. Absolutely. Thanks
All right.
so much.
Blessings.
Okay.
Everybody, thank
Bye.
you for joining us. The best year yet of your eternal life. Remember, we're getting up probably close to 4,000 hours. This conversation to go on 5 days a week for 10 years. And go to the archives, pick it up, and pass it along. In the meantime, create the best year yet of your eternal life. It's an awesome gift to give the world. You can give it. The world needs it. Blessings. Bye-bye.